Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I am an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we're going to talk about the ingress of Jupiter in Taurus. Now Jupiter changes sign once a year, and in this case is going to change sign on May 16, 2023, and it is going to stay in Taurus until May 26, 2024. So as always, let's try to understand first the overall energies of Taurus and Jupiter in Taurus specifically, and then we're going to try to give it a context a little bit. Now, this is a picture of Hobbitville because in my opinion, Hobbits really describes pretty neatly Taurus energy because Taurus is the zodiac sign of Mother Earth, of nature in general. It is a very earthy and genuine kind of energy. And Jupiter, on the other hand, is a planet that expands everything it touches. Therefore, it is also going to expand these energies that in Taurus are fixed Earth energies. So they are very stable, long-lasting kind of energies. And in general, we can say that with Jupiter in Taurus, we will try to stabilize what's happening, even though the sky is not really going that direction. Jupiter is going to be an actor trying to play energies so that they can, in a sense, get more stable. We can't say that it's going to be like a very stable scenario. Not at all, but in general, this is what Jupiter is going to try to do, at least. Now, Jupiter is also known as the Great Benefic, and this is because it is a planet that brings abundance on all levels. Yes, also material level, especially here because, yes, Taurus is an earth sign, and earth is the element of matter. In a symbolic sense, Taurus also represents cattle. And in fact, back in the day, if you had livestock, you were wealthy, right? So cattle is a symbol for wealth in general. And of course, now this refers to money, especially if we look, for example, at the symbol of Wall Street, the bull, right? But in general, we can say that this Jupiter is going to try to bring this more economic stability or recovery. We need to remember that Uranus is still in Taurus, right? And eclipse season is still involving the Taurus-Scorpio axis, so we can't say that things are going to be stable. That would be too much. Nevertheless, Jupiter is bringing or will try to bring abundance in this regard. And this also involves natural resources, not only money, but nature, our relationship with nature as the mother giving us abundance. And this means that we could discover new natural resources, or that we could find new ways to make the most out of the resources that we already have. But we also need to remember that Jupiter is a spiritual planet, and Jupiter brings abundance for a reason. It's not like I am giving you abundance because it's very specific. So basically what Jupiter wants is that we can devote ourselves to, quote unquote, the matters of the spirit. And in order to do that, we can do it if we are struggling with survival, right? So Jupiter gives abundance so that we have the opportunity to evolve spiritually, to really, embrace a spiritual path of some kind. And this is key to understand the way that Jupiter brings abundance, because if we try to deny the spirit, we go in the opposite direction, and this direction is really a sort of negative trait of Jupiter in Taurus. In my opinion, this is not going to be the case, mostly. However, some people might be called towards materialism even more because Jupiter is a spiritual planet. However, expanding this earth material energy We are called to confront materialism, definitely. For example, globalization, this unbridled globalization, is the result of having this expansion of Jupiter in the world of economy, in the world of Taurus. And so if we focus too much on profit, the effect of this Jupiter in Taurus would be to exploit the land, exploit the earth even more for our selfish profit. And this is not the way we want to go, right? Especially because Jupiter is a very spiritual planet. So it rules all forms of, for example, faith, belief systems, and also priesthood in general. And with Taurus, these forces can be understood in a more neo-pagan flavor, if you will. So all kinds of spirituality related to the earth, to the wisdom of the earth, to animism in general are going to be enhanced by Jupiter in Taurus. But we can also read this transit in a more Christian way, because in Christianity, for example, we find Celtic Christianity that involves more this relationship with nature and the respect for nature, a relationship with the Fae, with the elementary beings, with the spirits of nature. And also in an anthroposophical sense, it refers to spiritual ecology and the return of the Christ in the etheric realm, which is a deeply important theme for all anthroposophers listening. And in addition, we don't have to forget that Taurus is a zodiac sign ruled by Venus, the goddess of beauty. So this includes art as a way to the spirit. Something that is going to be enhanced by this transit, especially for all forms of art involving the earth element. So I'm thinking, for example, about sculpting or architecture. And if you are thinking about another form of spirituality related to earth, please leave it down below in the comments, so we can also try to understand how people are using this earth element to connect to the spirit more. But not only Jupiter is the planet of spirituality, but it is also the planet of our ideals in general. So this is interesting because this planet is entering now in the zodiac sign of manifestation, in the zodiac sign of the earth element, which is all about manifesting. Manifesting what? Manifesting our ideals, our ideas. So this is a very important opportunity to manifest our projects, our ideas that are going to maybe reflect our greater ideals. And this is also going to be enhanced by, in general, what Jupiter rules in terms of social classes. I mean, Jupiter rules wealthy people or the powerful in general, so politicians or judges. So this means that capital will be invested more easily so that these ideas can grow, can expand in the material realm. So let's take a look at the chart of the ingress of Jupiter in Taurus. So ignore the houses because this chart is domiciled for Central Europe time, specifically May 16, Rome. So Jupiter entering Taurus is pretty intense because, as you can see down here, Jupiter is entering Taurus and it conjoins the North Node, which traditionally is considered to be a little Jupiter. So this means that Jupiter is going to be enhanced by the head of the dragon, Caput Draconis, the North Lunar Node. And in doing so, Jupiter is meeting Pluto with this square. So we have a Jupiter-Pluto square going on, and this is a tension, especially because these planets are sitting on fixed signs, and so they are building this tension. And we know that Pluto in Aquarius is basically bringing rebellion, riots, revolution, whereas this Jupiter is all about bringing stability, right? So you can think of Jupiter as trying to block people from protesting or bringing this change in a more messy or revolutionary way, because the powerful, represented by Jupiter, are trying to do something. And we will need to see whether what they're going to do is going to help people really or not, especially because this tension is worsened by the presence of this Mars at the very end of Cancer, closing these two planets in a T-square through an opposition. Now, we discussed about Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is concerned with protection, and this goes hand in hand with this Venus, which is in Cancer as well. Now, Venus in this chart is very important because Venus is the planet ruling Taurus, so it makes sense. Jupiter is ruled by a Venus that right now, the moment Jupiter enters Taurus, is basically concerned with protection. So I don't see in this square, the square between Mars and Jupiter, a problem necessarily. In fact, this is an out of sign square. However, Mars is bringing this tension, right? And you can feel it building up, especially because, again, these signs are fixed signs, right? Now, this revolution, which is blocked, and this stability, of course, concerns money, and the money, big money in general, because both Jupiter and Pluto rule big money and big assets. So from this perspective, we can really understand the battleground here, the economic assets, the economic axis, sorry, especially because eclipse season is still going on. So we have this instability in these transformations taking place through the eclipses in the Scorpio-Taurus axis, right? And so in general, even though Jupiter is trying to bring this stability, the way that it is going to do that is more like blocking the way, blocking people, blocking the revolution, and this creates tension. Now, in this chart, we also have another planet featuring this Jupiter entering Taurus, which is Mercury. And interestingly enough, Mercury turned direct the day before Jupiter entering Taurus. And this means that Jupiter entering Taurus is going to help Mercury to restart, basically, because Mercury is super slow. So it's like having Jupiter pushing this Mercury and telling him, okay, so now you can move up, you can start again moving in the right direction. And hopefully this is going to manifest in a more constructive rather than destructive form of communication between governments and people, hopefully. So if we go back for a minute to this square, the Jupiter-Pluto square here, we can also introduce another theme, the theme of justice. This square is very important because it is a stage of a larger cycle. So in this picture here, you can see the cycle of these two planets, Pluto and Jupiter, because if we go back to 2020, they were creating a triple conjunction that lasted for all 2020. And this was a quite dramatic conjunction, because here, back in 2020, Jupiter in conjunction with Pluto created this combination of significations. You had literally death, which is one of Pluto, Hades significations. Pluto was back then in Capricorn, the zodiac sign of Saturn. Saturn is the reaper, right? So we literally had death amplified, right? And this, of course, had something to do with the way that the pandemic was handled by governments. And this is how this theme of justice is introduced by the square, because now these planets are creating a tension that refers back to that conjunction. So we have Jupiter in general as the planet of judges, of justice, and also judicial inquiries. And Pluto now is in Aquarius, an astrological sign concerned with equality and social justice, and it is a generational planet. So it's not something personal. It really refers to the collective unconscious and to death as well, right? So this square might refer to social justice issues that are related in the way that the pandemic was handled by governments. And this is very interesting because we are reaching that moment in the cycle, the first square, when these two archetypes are trying to process what happened in the very beginning of the cycle. So this is going to be very interesting in this regard. Now let's take a look at astrocartography. As you know, we can use astrocartography to understand where the event is going to be stronger in the world. We have in red, this red line is the line of the ascendant, and this yellow line, the line of the descendant. We have the green, the line of the midheaven, and in blue, you can see here the line of the IC. And these lines are places on Earth where the event, so we have Jupiter entering Taurus, is going to happen on one of the four angles in a chart, which are the strongest spots in a chart. So we have in the ascendant line, we have Auckland in New Zealand. In the descendant line, we have Dublin and London, as well as Lisbon in Portugal. And we have in the midheaven line, Denver, Colorado, and Guadalajara in Mexico. And in light blue, we have Mumbai in India and Kabul in Afghanistan. So you can use this map to really understand where in the world the effects of this event, Jupiter entering Taurus, is going to be felt in a more strong way. So if we take a look at the major aspects of Jupiter between May 2023 and May 2024, and we recap a little bit what Jupiter is going to do, basically what we have here is Jupiter in May 2023 making this square with Pluto, and the transit is going to end with Jupiter making this conjunction with Uranus. We're going to talk about it in a dedicated video because this event is going to start a new cycle, the Jupiter-Uranus cycle. And so this is something that I'd like to discuss in a separate video. But on top of that, we have another cycle which is involved by this transit. As you can see, Jupiter is going to make a sextile with Saturn in June 2023, and the same aspect is going to be perfected in February 2024. So from January 2024 to March 2024, we're going to have this second stage in the overall Jupiter-Saturn cycle. This is a very, very important cycle. All astrologers are constantly looking back at the beginning of the cycle. That was the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that happened on 2020 winter solstice. And it happened in the first degree of Aquarius, and there's this air element theme that's related to this conjunction. It is very important, and we are reaching the first stage, the first step in this cycle. So in between 2023 and 2024, we have the first sextile between the two planets. Now, Saturn at the moment is in Pisces. Now, I'm going to put down there in the description the link for if you want to deepen what Saturn in Pisces means, because basically what Jupiter with this sextile is going to do is enhancing all the significations of this Saturn in Pisces. So we can say that in general, Jupiter is going to amplify all spiritual issues related to disillusionment, which is something that definitely Saturn in Pisces brings, and also the relationship that we have with responsibility, and not only our sense of responsibility, but really taking responsibility with our spiritual path. And this is something that is going to challenge us, of course, but also it is going to allow us to step out of this maybe fantasy world that Pisces sometimes creates. And all this, of course, for the good. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell not to miss on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona, and see you in the next video.